And I asked some questions yesterday, and I got some responses today, and I've had some more conversations with this guy here. I hope I'm saying it right, but Jiri uh, Pechanek or Pekanek. Anyway, he has been very helpful to help me come up with a plan to attack this. And I think what I need to do is basically use one of the Debezium Docker images and extend it. You can see right up here. Build your own Docker image. So I'm going to extend the Debezium Connect image. And hopefully this won't be too complicated. I'm going to extend that. This image comes with MySQL connector and I think a Postgres connector and things like that. I want to add the Couchbase connector to this image. Over back here in Visual Studio Code, I've got this folder here, Docker Connect Couchbase, and here is the jar file, which I can just download from Couchbase.com. It's the Kafka Couchbase connector. It's a Java jar file is basically like compiled Java package sort of thing. So what I need to do is I need to create a Docker file in this folder here. Okay, and I'm just going to go back over to the chat room here. If I can find it, yes. So we're going to start with this, and I think this is how Docker connection or Docker files start. So it looks like the syntax here is you're going to add some file you specify to some destination. So I want to add that to /Kafka /connect /Couchbase. I'm assuming it's going to create that folder for me. That may not be a safe assumption, but I'm assuming that's how it's going to work. Right here. So let's try a tag here. Couchbase Debezium. Okay. I messed up in my Docker. Yeah, I bet I know what it is. So I said basically copy this file to this file. So it needs to be like that. So I messed up for sure. Let's just have a look here. Docker, not info, Docker images. Makes sense. Okay, so here's my Couchbase Debezium image. Terrific. Starting over. This is Zookeeper. Oops. Just sort of let that one run. We expect that to say it's binding to port 2181. There it is. Okay, good. So we're in good shape there. Open up another one. This is going to be the Kafka one. So it's going to link to Zookeeper. Okay, and the important thing to see at the end of this is that it's going to say Kafka server 1 started. Okay, looks like that's good. So we got, it'd be nice if I could label these somehow. I suppose that's what like Kubernetes is for. Okay, Kafka is running. Now, MySQL database. This is the sample one that comes with this Debezium tutorial. And it creates several tables. We only care about customers, but it creates several tables. And there we go, MySQL. This is kind of my scratch pad right now. But this is what the tutorial says to do for Kafka Connect. Kafka Connect running the MySQL connector. And this is the part where I got the error message about not linking to Zookeeper and Kafka and so on, MySQL. That's all fine. I'm wondering if I also have to link to the Couchbase database. I may as well put it in there. Okay, and then, but instead of Debezium/connect 0.9, I'm going to use my own custom image and say Couchbase Debezium, which hopefully should have the jar file already copied in there, and we'll be all set to go. So open up one more PowerShell window here. Okay, so for the most part, this is in the tutorial. I'm copying and pasting this with a couple things different. So instead of using their base image, I'm using my own image, which uses this as a base and just adds one jar file to it. And I'm not sure if I need to do this yet, I'm also adding this -- link db, and db is Couchbase, which is already running in the Docker host. So let's see what happens. This one right here. So I'm going to run that connect again, and let's see what happens. I was running up here. So the next step is to actually hit the REST API and get those connectors going. And if you remember, I did this last time. I did this with Postman. So I'll just connect to it here, and I'll see we have no connectors yet. And this one here will actually get the MySQL connector started. So that should work as it did last time. And we got a 201, and so that's working. Now, I also did a similar thing with Couchbase here. So if you go to the Couchbase Quick Start, there's actually comes with a config file. You can see right in here. Quick Start. I'm using Couchbase as a sink, a place where data is going to be put into. So here's a config file that says, okay, here's all the settings you need to do in order to use the Kafka Couchbase connector. So this is one approach. I can actually use this at the command line and get it started. Another approach, which I just sort of copied all these settings, is I can put them here into this REST request here, this post request, and kick off a similar thing just using the Kafka REST API. So I've called it Home Delivery Sync, and I've given it all the settings here. This is the topic that the MySQL connector is putting data into. And so this is the topic that I want the Couchbase connector to get data out of. So I need to give it the Couchbase bucket to put the data into, the credentials to get access to that bucket, and some other settings. I'm not going to talk about them too much, except to say that we want it to be stored as JSON data. I think this will work. And then this is the another typo there. This is the actual address of the Couchbase cluster, which, because we're inside Docker, actually we've given it a name. So with MySQL, I call it MySQL. With Couchbase, I've just called it DB. So we'll see if that works. So let's give it a try, see what happens. And it looks like it's worked. Okay, so we are in good shape so far. This is farther than I've gotten up to this point. So the next thing to do is see if actually data is getting into here. And it looks like it actually is. So here we go. We have a staging bucket in Couchbase, and this is getting data from MySQL. So there's 4 records here, 4 documents, which corresponds probably to the 4 rows in MySQL. Wow, this is amazing. It actually works. Now, it's a lot more information in here than just 4 pieces of data, right? So there's 4 columns and there's 4 values. Sally Thomas, email address 1001. There's a lot of other stuff in here that Debezium is giving us. We don't necessarily need all of it, but you can see here it's kind of giving us the schema. So there's the 4 fields, and then it's saying this is the schema before, I guess, before and after, and then here is the actual payload before and after. So before, that record didn't exist, and after we have this. So this is really what I'm after. This other stuff is interesting, and I may want to keep this, or I may not. I may want to just discard some of it or all of it. But in Couchbase is where I'm going to actually look at this and say payload.after, and that's what I'm going to use to update my record. So I was just about to say thank you to Jiri Pechanek for his help, and it works great. Thank you, it works great. This part right here, from MySQL to Kafka, to Couchbase is all working. And just to show it again, let's go all the way through here. We'll add a new row, and we'll put Calvin Allen in here. And what is his email address? Let's see. Calvin's email address is badabing@badaboom.gov. Okay, so we're adding a new row to this MySQL table. So what I'd expect to happen is there to be 5 documents in this bucket now, and there are. And so one of them, don't know which one, is going to be the Calvin Allen data. All right, are there any indexes on this? There's no indexes, so I'm just going to create a primary index on the staging bucket so I can start doing some queries. Select s.star from staging. On it right meow. Okay, so I think I want s.payload.after. And you can see that, I'll just put that in table view. Oh, yeah. The screen is kind of squished, so, but there we go. I didn't insert that directly into Couchbase. I inserted it into MySQL, which then was picked up with the Debezium connector and then put into Kafka, and then Couchbase is acting as a sink, listening for data in that topic in Kafka, and puts it right here in the bucket that I specified. So I am super pumped about this right now. In fact, I'm so hyped up about this. Why don't we play a little celebration video? And we'll say, what's going on? 10 hours. Full 10 hours of this song.